Brewing for Bozzos! Like to brew from those who haven't got a clue.
Welcome back to Brewing for Bozzos, the channel where two clowns with little to no knowledge teach you about brewing beer. Following on from the last episode, we promised to give you my partner's take on an elderflower ale. We failed. I managed to lose the recipe. I then tried to brew a red lager. This also failed with dramatic consequences. So in order to live up to the name of the channel, I shall regale you with a tale of how I not just had a mare, not even a nightmare, but a Western supermare. Once I'd poured all my wort into the fermenter barrel, I pressed pause on my phone. This started a chain reaction that caused utter chaos. The pressing of the pause caused the phone to tilt forward. It became top heavy and fell out of the tripod. On its way down, it hit the tap of the fermenter and cleaved it clean off. This caused an utter deluge of 70 plus degree sugar water to pour onto the kitchen floor. Unfortunately, it did not just hit the floor, it also covered my bare feet. This caused me to squeal like a newborn piglet and jump a foot into the air. Upon re-entering the atmosphere, my scorched hooves slipped on the said sugar water and caused me to slide onto my back under the waterfall of burning wort. Every time I tried to stand up, I slid back under it like a distressed tortoise, floundering around with all limbs waving. By clutching onto the kitchen cabinet handles, I managed to haul myself up. By now, I was insanely sore, swearing like a council estate mother of 12 and trying to rescue what was left of my dignity and my beer. As you can imagine, I failed yet again. I rebought my ingredients and attempted the same recipe. Somehow I managed to introduce some sort of bacteria, and I'm now left with a lager that tastes like horse urine. So on to today's recipe. I cannot claim ownership for this recipe since we got it from Greg Hughes' book Homebrew Beer. What I can say is that we altered the amounts ever so slightly and put our own spin on it, making our own labels and making a hash out of the boiling process. For a list of all equipment you will need, please watch the video in the top right corner now. Ingredients. This is an Amarillo single hop ale, so for the grain you will need 5 kilograms of pale malt and 235 grams of Carapils malt. For the boil, you will need a total of 191 grams of Amarillo hops. Amarillo hops are one of our favourite hops in the terms of taste and smell, so we had to refrain from sticking our beaks in the bag until we had an empty one. Also, a quick shout out to the guys and girls over in Get Her Brewed. I get the majority of my grain from them, and they are fantastic for their customer support. Anyway, for the yeast, we are using a Y-Yeast 1056 American Ale. First, bring 12.5 litres of water up to 85 degrees Celsius. Once up to temp, pour over the grain and leave for an hour for the mash. During this time, begin heating 23 litres of water up to a temperature between 74 and 77 degrees for the sparge. Once the hour is up on the mash, drain off into your fermenting vessel. Then begin pouring your sparge water over the grain, ensuring that all the sugars are washed out. We then carefully lifted the barrel onto our trolley together so that we didn't run through a second rendition of Idiot in a Sugar Shower. We then took approximately half of our wort and placed it into the pot for boiling. Because I am somewhat of a donkey, I then let this pot boil over. This saw my workload increase by having to clean it all up and a bollocking off the missus. We then added our first batch of hops, 54 grams. After 55 minutes, we added the second batch, 27 grams. After another 10 minutes, we added 27 grams again. And as we removed it from the heat, we added the final batch of 83 grams. We then rapidly cooled and flavoured the wort in the sink by running cold water around the pan before adding it back to the main body of beer and filtering it through a sieve to remove any hop particles that may have escaped from the bags. From here, we then drew off a small amount to take our first reading for the ABV calculation, which came out as 0.42. We then added 5 Camden tablets and left it a full 24 hours for them to absorb. The next morning, we placed the yeast out on a tabletop to reach room temperature, and then added it once the 24 hours were up. We will then wait a week before bottling it with 2 carbonation drops per bottle and slapping a pig poker label on each one. Hopefully in the next episode, in several months' time, we'll have a decent tasting beer with minimal dramas. But then who knows on this channel. Anyway, that's all from us. Thank you for watching Brewing for Bozzos.